Welcome to another episode of Pages from Apache County History with Dolly Patterson. It's hard to say what this episode is about because it doesn't really focus on one topic. I guess I could say it's about Jess Burke, hunter, hunt guide, rancher, lodge owner. Or I could say it's about the now extinct Merriam's elk that used to roam about the White Mountains of Arizona. Or I could say that it's about Beaverhead Lodge, a former haven for vacationers and hunters that was located south of Alpine, Arizona. In truth, it's a little bit about all of these. Hope you enjoy. Jess Burke was born in March of 1895 in Springerville, Arizona. His parents moved to Winslow when he was still very young, but he didn't like it there, so he moved in with his older sister, Celia Burke Peary, who lived on the Blue, and stayed there until adulthood. While living with her, when he was around 15 years old, he was out hiking and exploring and came across an unusual set of antlers, which he recognized as unique. They later hung over the door to Beaverhead Lodge for years. Jess was called to serve his country in World War I. He served in a horse-drawn unit in 1918 in France, returning home in June of 1919. Jess returned to the Blue after getting back to the United States and in 1924 met Flora Sally Brown. They were married in September of that same year. They lived in New Mexico for a short time, but then came back to the Blue and built Beaverhead Lodge in 1931 at the headwaters of Beaver Creek, about 14 miles south of Alpine, Arizona. Jess was a hunt guide. Deer, turkey, bear, and lions, as well as fishing. He had many hunting dogs. An Arizona Republic article dated June 1965 called him one of Arizona's best-known hunters and guides. He received many citations and awards as an outdoorsman. In 1957, the Arizona Game Protective Association honored him for outstanding service to his fellow sportsmen. In 1963, the Arizona Wildlife Sportsman magazine presented him with its first Arizona Big Game Award. Other achievements in Jess's life: he served 17 years as Apache County Vice President of the Arizona Game Protective Association. In 1960, he was the president of the Springerville Chamber of Commerce. He was always an active member of the White Mountain Community Hospital Board. He was an active member of the Springerville American Legion. He was a lifetime member of the Arizona Cattlemen's Association. And his family says he always had a big smile and liked to tell tall tales. He made news in 1966 when he presented his prized Merriam's elk antlers, only one of two known sets in the world, to the University of Arizona. These were the bleached antlers he had discovered in a canyon near Alpine when he was young, somewhere between 1908 and 1914, and for years they hung over the front door of Beaverhead Lodge. Merriam's elk were found in great abundance in the White Mountains of Arizona and the Mogollon and Sacramento Mountains of New Mexico as late as the 1870s. However, by 1901, the last one was reportedly killed in Arizona, and they became extinct. These elk were said to be as large or larger than any of the varieties farther north. In 1886, Dr. E. W. Nelson bagged a Merriam's elk specimen at the head of the Black River and was the one who recognized this animal as an undescribed species, and he used the specimen to make a scientific description of the animal, an old bull with large antlers, that was shipped to the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C. Citizens became concerned with reports of Merriam's elk subsiding by 1906 and began to take action. With the support from Governor George W. P. Hunt, R. N. Looney, a young frontier doctor, was able to secure a permit to transport 80 head of elk from Yellowstone National Park and release them in Arizona. The Elks Club got involved and took on the logistics of the transfer as a project. They provided assistance in every step from capture to release. The Yellowstone elk were captured in February 1913 and shipped by railroad to Winslow. The permit was for 80, but curiously 86 elk showed up. The local Elks Club transported the elk to their release site in 12 wooden horse-drawn wagons that had been modified to contain the elk. There were several more releases over the next decade, but fewer than 300 elk are believed to have been released, and all from the northern Yellowstone herd. Arizona is now known for its ability to produce big bulls and trophy cows. Jess Burke's Merriam's elk antlers, still in good condition, hung over the front door of Beaverhead Lodge for years. When he donated them to the U of A for research, a group of anthropology students transported them from Burke's place back to the university in Tucson. In 1943, Bill Davis of Casa Grande related the following in the Casa Grande Dispatch about a stay at Beaverhead Lodge. "We sure had a wonderful time enjoying the cool, refreshing air, the smell of pines, and the pure mountain water to drink. We went to Crescent Lake, where we caught 54 rainbow trout from 17 to 21 inches in length and averaging about 2.5 pounds each. Jess Burke and I were away from Beaverhead Lodge just an hour and 10 minutes and came back with a black bear weighing about 250 pounds. Bill mentions that Jess Burke and his hounds have bagged 5 bears since early spring." In 1955, several campers in separate incidents were attacked by a bear in the Big Lake area. None of the attacks were fatal, but the vacationers received some pretty serious wounds. A hunting party, which included Jess Burke and his hunting dog, set out after the bear. At least that's what the Arizona Republic originally published. However, I found a follow-up article dated August of 1955 that stated Jess Burke was approached about it. However, his dogs were mountain lion dogs, not bear dogs, and so they went to C.W. Hill of Nutrioso. His dogs picked up the bear scent after it broke into another camp and ate a bunch of peaches. They found and killed the bear. Yet, at different times, Jess Burke did have bear dogs because he was known for tracking and hunting bear. In a 1966 article, it states, "The famed Lee brothers, Clell and Dell, will tell you that nobody would top Jess Burke when it came to taking bear. His great old black and tan tracking dog, appropriately named Lead, treed over 200 bears. That dog would stay out all night with a bear if it had to." In 1959, Flora, Jess's wife, passed away. She had helped run Beaverhead Lodge for over 30 years, and unfortunately, she and Jess never had children. By 1966, Jess was retired from hunting and guiding, and he had moved to a rustic cottage near Show Low Lake. Over the years, after his retirement, many individuals managed Beaverhead Lodge for Jess. Jess Burke passed away in March 1979. That same year, 1979, Tucson businessman Alan Abel purchased Beaverhead Lodge for about $250,000 and attempted to run it mostly long distance for about 6 years before deciding to close it down and turn the area into an elk preserve, even though he was offered up to $2 million for the property, and dealt with a lot of blowback from the area residents who did not want the historic lodge destroyed. He auctioned off the fixtures and memorabilia and also the guest cabins, which were purchased by the owners of the nearby Sprucedale Guest Ranch and moved there. With the help of volunteers, he then demolished what was left except for a couple of outbuildings, removed all of the barbed wire fencing around the 50-acre meadow, and installed special fencing that would allow the elk to enter the meadow but not cattle, and turned it into an elk preserve in 1985. Alan Abel, the very successful owner of Abel Tool and Supply in Tucson, passed away in 2006. Beaverhead Lodge, which was a mountain haven for so many people over the decades, became extinct just like the mysterious Merriam's elk, which had once roamed the beautiful White Mountains of Arizona. If you would like to learn more about the history of Alpine and the surrounding areas, you can visit the Arizona Memory Project online to access the 31 oral history interviews that were conducted in 2010 and also transcribed by our former Alpine Library Manager, Evelyn Williams, and her little team of volunteers. If you don't have online access, you can visit any of our 7 libraries and get the book of the transcribed interviews, or we also have CDs that are available for checkout at the libraries, and you can listen to the interviews. Great read. Thank you for joining us, and please stay tuned for the next episode of Pages from Apache County History with Dolly Patterson.